All right, friends, so once you have your supplies together, you can either print off the sheet that I have in the slide presentation of the beach ball that looks like this, or you can just simply draw one on a piece of paper. Find something, a large circle to trace. You can use like a paper plate, or a large lid to something would work, and then a smaller circle to trace, and then you can just put in your sections. You should end up with 6 sections in your beach ball for you to put your patterns and designs into. So you can do either one. You can make your own beach ball, or you can use one of the printed ones. You're going to need your dice, or use the virtual dice that there's a link to in the slide presentation, and your pencil to start with. You also want a copy of the Roll-A-Dice sheet in front of you, whether that be on your device or a printed off copy. Either way, you want this in front of you so you can see when you roll the dice the first time, whatever number pops up, that's the design you put in one section. Alright, so we're going to get started. So I'm going to take my beach ball and my dice. I'm going to roll my dice, and I came up with 3. So I look at my chart over here, and I see for roll number 1, if I roll a 3, I'm going to do this kind of circle line pattern. You can choose whatever section you want to put that pattern or design into. I think I'm going to put it in this one, and I'm just going to start making that design inside this section. And I'm going to put this design all the way across my section to fill it in. Similar to this. Now I'm choosing to leave my middle circle blank. You can go ahead and add another pattern to that if you'd like, but either way, it's up to you. So now that you have your designs in, you are going to decide if you want to use crayon or if you want to use marker. And I'm going to show you what it looks like if you were to use crayons. What you would do with your crayons is you would take your colors, whichever colors you choose to use, and try to use different colors in each section so that it's bright and colorful. And I would trace over your design with a firm hand so that your color is darker. Okay. So for this one I decided to use purple. Many of you know purple is my favorite color. So that's what I tend to go towards usually when I'm choosing a color for something. So once you have your design traced over nice and firmly so that it's darker, you also want to go around the outside of that section with the same color with a firm hand. You might even go over it a couple of times just to make the line nice and dark. And then you're going to go back and you're going to color in, just with normal pressure, that same color. Now with anything that has separation like this one, you could do different colors inside of each one of those lines and make it really colorful, or you could just keep each section one solid color and just vary the color section by section. That's completely up to you. For this example, I'm just using one color in each section. Alright. Now, you can do that with crayon all the way around your beach ball. The second way that I'm going to show you to color, and this is a really cool technique that I wish I would have thought of earlier in all of this distance learning, but I didn't, so now I'm going to teach it to you now, is how to paint with your normal markers. Now, it's helpful if you have washable markers, but these aren't washable and they still will work for this technique. what you're going to do is we're going to use the thick side of our marker, not the very tip. We want a thick side because we want a lot of the pigment or the color to come out on your paper. And what you're going to do again is you're just going to trace over your line design or texture that you put on that section with whatever color you choose. And again, you want to go around the outside edge of that section. Make sure you're using a nice thick line. You're going to use that pigment to paint with. Okay, this is a really good activity to stay in the lines too. Make sure you keep control. Okay, and then what you're going to need is you're going to need a small brush. You want a small tip on your brush and a small cup of water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you in just a second what that will look like. Alright, so you're going to want a small paintbrush, like I said, small glass of water, and you'll probably want a paper towel or a sponge to dab off your brush in between colors. And the way that we paint with markers is we simply take our brush, get it wet in the water. You might want to dab off the excess because you don't want to get your paper so wet that it falls apart. And then all you do is kind of rub your wet brush over the top of that marker line, and it's going to pull some of the color right off of that marker, and you can paint with it in the area of the paper that's still white. Now, like I said, washable markers work really well for this, but even if they're not washable, you can get some of that color to bleed out of the marker line. Now I'm going to do every other line and leave the other lines white. I just think that'd be kind of a fun little pattern to do. So I'm going to get my brush a little damp again, and I'm going to skip a line, and I'm going to come up and I'm going to keep pulling the color out of the lines there. I'm just kind of doing little circles, and that's kind of pulling the color out, making it bleed off the lines there. On the paper because you don't want the paper to get a hole in it, but you can go back over and kind of pull some more color out. If you just don't feel like you're getting a lot of color, you can just kind of go over the lines a little bit more and pull out a little more color, and then that's a painted way to do your same coloring, but just with paints, even if you don't have paints at home. So you choose whatever way you'd like to do, or whatever supplies you have at home. You can color with crayon, you can color with markers and then paint with the markers. And I look forward to all of the cool, bright, colorful beach balls that you guys send to me.